at that point, because we did have a little bit of stalking. We had people sending nasty emails. We got doxxed on Twitter, meaning they published all our
personal info and cell phone numbers. And it was copied and pasted, it looks like, right out of the Oakwood directory, like onto Twitter. And you know, like when I reached out to like what Oakwood's approach was, look, if people come to us and ask us what happened, we'll gladly tell them, but we're not going to say anything unless someone asks us. So when I reached out to the pastor, you know, down in Carlisle about, you know, Foose being a guest speaker there, you know, I said, look, you know, Oakwood will be willing to answer your questions. And I copied the board on it. And I got a letter of rebuke from the board for doing that. And
how dare you put our name on that? It made it look like we were in support of this.
It implied that they were in support of me reaching out to that church.
So they didn't want to be in support of notifying another church.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line is do nothing and say nothing is what they all wanted from us.
You're just stirring the pot, and you're just, you know, let sleeping dogs lie, and, you know, keep quiet for the sake of Christ and the kingdom. And that's kind of the church culture mentality.
And it's so in opposition to the teachings of Christ. I mean, again and again, reading over the parable, you know, of the Good Samaritan. And I always find it interesting that the person that came to Jesus asking, you know, what must a man do? Was a lawyer, you know, some translations say it was a lawyer, you know, someone well-versed in the law. And, you know, that whole parable, you know, the Good Samaritan, lining that up with victims of sexual abuse or victims of spiritual abuse, which I think is very rare in congregations. Like, how are we, as believers and followers in Christ, how are we fitting into that story of the, you know, the parable of the Good Samaritan?
Yeah. When people are spiritually bleeding out, and we're stepping around, we're stepping over them.
Yeah. And are we doing the bare minimum legally? You know. I mean, so many times, and not just, you know, our experience, but so many other experiences shared by, you know, Krista has shared a lot about this, right? Churches tend to do the bare minimum as required by their lawyer to minimize risk, right? And are we called as believers in Christ and followers in Christ to do that bare minimum?
Well, I think we're called to lay our lives down.
Lay it out there, take risk, you know, and one of the primary things in all of this was, yes, there was risk. There was risk in, you know, speaking out. If we can protect one child, just one child, was that risk worth it? I think absolutely it was.